for our opening contest of the evening. 6 rounds in the women's heavyweight division. Danielle Perkins taking on Christianne Fahey of Scotland. Perkins, you heard the amateur exploits, the former world amateur champion, multi-time national amateur champion. Coming off a second-round TKO win over Tamea Nagy in March of this year in El Paso. Fahey dropped a 6-round split decision to Mary Casamassa in Washington last July in her U.S. debut, but many observers of that fight believe that Fahey ought to have been the victor that night. So, two good-looking heavyweights here, setting the table for our heavyweight main event a little bit later on tonight.
You see Perkins off of the southpaw stance trying to establish that jab, and you know that comes from her amateur pedigree. You know, I'm always big on the amateur background. She was a Team USA member, and you know she won bronze medals at the 2018 World Championships and the following year too. So she's been around, and you could tell she's trying to dictate the pace of the fight so far, Corey.
One thing we're seeing from Fahey already here in the early going, which we saw in her fight against Mary Casamassa, the willingness to just take the opportunities that are given to her, especially with the right hand. She's facing another southpaw here tonight. We've seen her touch Perkins to the body a couple of times already, Alex.
Yeah, she'll try and get that right hand in as much as she can, and she's hoping not to get hit by the straight left, and there you see her landing that right. You talked about it, Corey. She's a former rugby player. There's no lack of toughness in her.
A national caliber rugby player in Scotland, and a nice right hand up top there from Fahey.
That's the way to beat left-handers, straight left hands and right hooks. And left hooks, should I say. Right hands and left hooks. That's exactly what Fahey did right now against Perkins. She really hasn't had a hard time trying to land that right hand.
So the closing seconds here of the opening round, Fahey noticeably busier than Danielle Perkins, who's come out very relaxed here in the opening round.
Short hands on the body, kick belt, back on the body. Water. Listen, you keep busy. Don't be ready. Don't be ready. One more step. Shoot. Until you get up to that rope, this is stuff you don't work on a million times.
Here we see Fahey landing that straight right hand to the body. You see her changing it up. She throws her right hand to the body and then to the top. Was very successful at landing that right hand. There goes that right hand again. Perkins took it pretty well. She's coming forward, trying to establish that jab. You know, I think Perkins is trying to land that left hand too, Corey.
A good opening round there for Fahey. Round 2 underway. Again, this is just a 6-rounder, so.
Fahey right off the bat, explosive with that 1-2. And again.
Perkins sneaking in a nice right hand there as well. I mentioned the athletic exploits of Fahey. Danielle Perkins at one point was a top 10 NCAA rebounder during her final collegiate year at St. John's University. And following her collegiate career, suffered some horrifying injuries, and at one point didn't think she'd be able to walk again. She was struck by a car, fell into a depression, but was able to find herself through the sport of boxing again. A very similar story to what we know about Vanessa Lepage-Joannis, who we'll see in our main event later on.
You know, Perkins has some defensive liabilities, and we're seeing some of those in evidence here where she attacks and kind of squares herself up and leaves herself open. Fahey has actually taken advantage of that on a couple of different occasions, but this kind of pressure from Perkins is starting to make a difference.
Yeah, very different look from Perkins here in the second round, walking Fahey down and using some of that physicality. See the head movement of Perkins, very relaxed in her approach, Raul.
Yeah, she is being very relaxed, and that's a good fighter has to be relaxed, and you know it's paying off now. Look at, she's imposing her size. She's really coming forward now and connecting big shots against Fahey. See Fahey's nose bleeding now from the impact of the hard punches.
Oh, big left hand there from Perkins, and now Perkins digs downstairs to the body. Fahey leaking blood from the nose right now and might have been wobbled earlier in the round as well. This is a big round for Danielle Perkins. And I have already been splattered with blood, and we are about 10 minutes into the broadcast.
Yeah. I know.
Fuck already.
Try to bide my time.
I know he's not about the time. He's on a head time. It's only 2 minutes. It's 6 minutes down. So I need you to be moving. I need you to be clever. Every time it hurts.
A big round for Perkins. She started to unload offensively, and Fahey was against the ropes for much of that round. The body work from Perkins was especially effective in that round, and then she continued the assault as the round continued, and using the jab and a straight left hand very effectively.
It's round 3 underway. A monstrous round for Danielle Perkins there in round 2. Looked like this might be a fight that was on its way to being over. Let's see if Christianne Fahey can bounce back, as Perkins once again applying the pressure and banging away to the body in the opening 20 seconds of the round.
Yeah, Perkins needs to keep that momentum going. A little bit of a leash off to there by Perkins. More hard combinations, powerful shots by Perkins.
You know, Perkins is calculated in a way. She keeps getting hit with the right hands as she's coming in by Fahey, but she's calculated that they're not hurting her, and so she's willing to take them.
Yeah, Fahey, she's tough. She's taking some hard shots and still trying to give some back, but you could tell the level of that Perkins is. She's just a better fighter. She's in control, but she's very relaxed, making her miss, making her pay. Good counter punching by Perkins.
And at the end of the day, more powerful.
Yes, sir. She's dominating now.
Yeah, and that's an important element here too, guys. Remember, Fahey mostly fighting at 160, 168. But now you're fighting a full-fledged heavyweight who is just battering her around the ring right now.
Yeah, Perkins just having fun now. Moving forward, blocking some shots, making her miss. Look at those hard, solid shots. Really, Perkins sitting on her shots now, trying to put more hurt on Fahey.
Well, there was a big left hand that landed a moment ago, right over top of us.
And more blood on top of us again, Corey.
This is a messy start to the night, courtesy of Danielle Perkins.
All right.
How are you feeling? You're doing fucking perfect until you go into that corner. As soon as you're in that corner, you're fucking... You need to bite into the corners. Hold up. How are you feeling?
I want to see inside her mouth.
Her mouth's fine.
Come here. Open your mouth when you say ah. Okay, she's good.
Watch that big left hand by Perkins. There we go. Sets it up with a nice jab. All over Fahey. Fahey trying to hold on. Seems like she's going a little bit at times into survival mode. Her face is a mess.
Okay, seconds up.
Let's go.
Seconds up.
Let's go.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Doc Gilbert, the cut man for Christianne Fahey, the cut man for a number of fighters here tonight, certainly has his work cut out for him in the opening contest. The trainer of Christianne Fahey, Lee McAllister, also may have some choices to make as well, Al, because Fahey taking a lot of punishment already.
Yeah, it's really a good point. At some point, he might have to think about pulling the plug, only because, as you point out, in against a much bigger woman, getting hit with some big shots, and so often women have to step up when they're in a higher weight class to a place where they don't want to be.
But Fahey's still game. She's got a big heart. She's trying to land some shots. Perkins just giving her different looks. You know, she tries to bait her in, let her come in and catch her with the left hand. Sometimes she attacks, like she is now with a double jab and trying to land another big left hand. Really putting some hurt on her now, Corey.
Big left hand there from Perkins and comes right behind it with a nice right hook. And Raul, you made a good point earlier on as Fahey lands a nice right hand over the top, but gets clipped with a big left hook. Right hook, excuse me, from Danielle Perkins. I mean, Perkins made a determination early in this fight. She basically said, okay, you go ahead and touch me to the body. I'm going to counter you with harder stuff up top.
Fahey can land that right hand. She's landed 4 or 5 hellacious right hands. It just hasn't quite stopped Perkins, but boy, she's getting a punch in a lot.
Yeah, this is a valiant effort from Fahey here in the 4th round. Fahey trying to work her way out of danger. You hear her corner right now telling her, tie her up, tie her up. There's Danielle Perkins with free hands and an opponent on the ropes is a dangerous proposition as we come to the end of round 4.
That was a fascinating round.
The best fucking run. Listen, you know how you feel. You know what it was. Put your hands up, stop playing. He said, I ain't getting hit. I said, I know. But it looks bad. And you know, he's only going to try to hit you at one point.
Well, there was two-way action in that round. Fahey landing a right hand that even gets a reaction from Perkins, and yet another one. There were moments in that round in which Fahey landed some pretty big shots, and that one, yet another example. So it was a very close and well-contested round at a point where it looked like Fahey might be out of things.
Sometimes it's kind of like they say, most people have an accident when they're 1 mile at home. They get relaxed and get to the next. There you go. Let's go. Come on.
It's round 5 now underway, and Christianne Fahey comes out firing a right hand immediately.
Yeah, right off the bat with the 1-2 and landed the 1-2, but just can't hurt Perkins. Just Perkins' shots are more solid. You could hear him when she lands, and I think Corey, she needs to throw some flurries, you know, punches and bunches, then try to land the big shot. That way, maybe that way she could stop Fahey.
Well, to that point, Raul, I think there is that possibility, too, with how Fahey is looking right now, with the state of her face. If you're Perkins and you put some punches together, if there is a flurry and the referee sees it, you might compel a referee to stop this fight.
That's what happens most of the time, you know, when a fighter like Fahey, I mean, look at her face. She's a blood, you know, she's a mess. And if Perkins could apply more pressure, but don't load up so much on her shots, it's punches and bunches, a lot of flurries, then go for the big shot, that might cause the referee to stop the fight.
You know, the only problem with this scenario is Perkins really not throwing many punches, period. And Fahey has thrown way more punches and landed way more in this round.
Nice body work there for Perkins.
Well, hey, coming back with that right hand. And Perkins takes the right hand.
Hard body shot there from Perkins, then comes up top with a straight left hand.
Oh.
Huge uppercut from Perkins. And Fahey is an absolute mess.
That's the flurries I'm talking about. Pick up that punch output, more speed on those combinations.
Another big combination from Danielle Perkins. But a sneaky counter right hand from Fahey in the closing seconds of that round. And my goodness, look at the face of Christianne Fahey.
Done.
Yeah.
Listen, that's why we need Parker. Let me get in here. Go against him.
Look out. Can't breathe.
Down below. Lights off now. Listen. Be a hat now. She's off from his foot. I like beat some. He's so close.
We got to get this
Hanging in there, coach.
Yeah,
Sure,
bro,
fighting back. I can see that.
Look at me, this last round, come on.
Breathe through your mouth.
I ain't taking the water, come on.
Let's go.
Just let me do this round.
We see that big uppercut by Perkins where she goes to the body and then boom, that almost ripped her head off. If she would have came back with some, that's what I'm talking about there, Corey, with some flurries, maybe the referee would have stopped it.
It's round 6 underway in what has been a bloody and fascinating opening contest here between Danielle Perkins and Christianne Fahey. And Al, to build upon a point that you made earlier, you know, in the interest of fairness, you probably give Christianne Fahey the opening round. Maybe you give her round 4, and probably until those uppercuts started raining in, there might have even been a case for Fahey to win that last round as well.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of rounds, as you point out, that could go her way. Perkins has been much more impressive with her power and, of course, all the blood on the face.
Of course.
But Fahey has landed her share of punches. Here's the other question. Danielle Perkins had a different mission in this fight than just winning, didn't she? She had a mission of being dominant and showing that she could be someone that could get a bigger fight. And, you know, I guess the jury's still out on whether she did that here.
Perkins will certainly have her eye on our main event between Claressa Shields and Vanessa Lapaggio-Anise. Also has interest in the IBF heavyweight champion, Lanny Daniels from New Zealand. A couple different routes that Perkins could go.
Yeah, they've talked about the Daniels fight a lot.
Trading shots in the middle of the ring there. Stiff right hand from Perkins. And again, Christianne Fahey just finding those sneaky right-hand counters often enough to make this one interesting.
Yeah, she's quick with those shots, fast and explosive, and that's why she's able to catch Perkins. But you could just, you know, Perkins' size and strength is wearing down Fahey. And tell you what, if it was maybe an 8-10 round fight, you could see how maybe Perkins would be able to stop her.
Final moments of the contest, and that was a valiant effort from Christianne Fahey.
A big heart.
And a nice moment between two women as we kick off tonight's broadcast here in Detroit.
Well, as we look back at this fight in microcosm, the early start for Fahey, she was landing some very nice combinations and some straight right hands, but then the power of Perkins started to make itself known, and she started landing those big straight left hands, the thunderous jabs, and also going downstairs as well. And it turned the tide in this fight, and once that tide turned, Raul, it became kind of an onslaught. Even though Fahey kept having her good moments, the Perkins power took over.
Yeah, I agree. It was all downhill for Fahey, but I mean, you got to give her a lot of credit. She's got big heart. I mean, she was fighting a bigger lady, probably stronger, more experienced. She might want to come back down to another weight class, and hopefully she'll realize that this is not her weight class, Corey.
You see those vicious uppercuts from Danielle Perkins, but I'm sure Fahey made some fans here tonight. And it looks like we are ready to make this one official, so let's send it up to Pete Trevino.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put a big round of applause together for both of the boxers in the center of the ring. After 6 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge David D. Young scores the matchup 60-54. Judge Rose Gross scores it 59-55. And Judge Vincent Santino also scores it 59-55 for your winner by unanimous decision, Danielle New Era Perkins.
So Danielle Perkins with a wide decision win over Christianne Fahey in our opening contest as we set the table for a night that features women's heavyweight boxing. Danielle Perkins with her eyes on both the winner of the main event and, as we mentioned, potentially the IBF champ, Lanny Daniels, because, you know, as we've talked about, guys, it is a shallow pool of contenders in the women's heavyweight division, which kind of has two results. For someone like Danielle Perkins, it's unfortunately meant that she hasn't been as active as she wants, but it does also mean that you can leapfrog into a big opportunity very quickly, just as Vanessa Lepage-Joannis did.
That's a very good point, and that is what got her, Joannis, to this fight tonight. And as you point out, it's a very short step to get to those title matches because of the lack of depth.